almost 20 million South African women and girls over the age of 15 are at risk of breast cancer. That's a scary number, and it's according to the National Cancer Registry.
But it's not a death sentence, as early detection leads to a 95% survival rate. So let's all use this Cancer Awareness Month, of course, to be screened and to do self-breast examinations. We spoke about that the other day here on the South African Morning as well. Or even get your partner to do it for you. It's so important that you do that together. Joining us now for more on this is cancer survivor Rebecca Baloyi. I don't just want to call you a cancer survivor because you've survived twice. Rebecca, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Perhaps start by taking us through that journey.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Okay, so my journey was back in 2007 when I first got diagnosed. At that time, I didn't know what to look out for breast cancer. Information wasn't out there, as it is right now. So what happened was I saw a bruise on my breast. I was stepping out of the shower, and in the mirror I see this bruise on my breast. And, I'm thinking I bumped into something. But then, okay, I leave it because it's a bruise, it will go away. The bruise doesn't go away. A week, two passes, and the bruise is still there. And what happens was now my breast started getting smaller. It's shrinking. I'm thinking, okay, now this looks weird. This must be something wrong. So I decided to go see a doctor. The first doctor that I went to was like, no, it's nothing serious. Let's just leave it, give it time. It will probably go away. Right, so I go away, I go home, relieved that, okay, it's nothing. But then as time goes by, now the nipple starts retracting. So now I have a retracted nipple, I have this discoloration, I have a breast that has retracted as well. At that point, that's when I started now feeling around the breast. That's when I felt the lump. And I went to see another doctor. I went to a different one this time and insisted that we go and do further tests. They took me for a mammogram. They did the mammogram, they did an ultrasound, and they did a biopsy all in one day. And that's how the cancer was discovered.
And I can imagine the journey, but also, for me, what's scary is the misdiagnosis, because it still happens today, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's our responsibility, because you know yourself, you know your body. That's why we're stressing this thing of self-examination, because you get used to how your breasts look, and as soon as something is wrong, you'll be able to pick it up, that this is normally how my breasts look. And you can go and say, but insist actually on the doctor to say, I need further tests done. If they can't do that, go to for a second opinion.
Women sometimes often also fear an operation. If you were to have breast cancer, you have to go through an operation, for instance, and then they avoid getting examined. I heard your husband, the former footballer Brian, speak about this once, where he also had to help you through that process. What would you say to women who has that fear?
It's your life. You really need to make that choice. It's your life. Do you risk removing your breast being removed, or maybe risk of dying, And these days, treatment is out there, and that's not the first thing that they would do to say we're going to remove your breast. They will look at all the options to see if, because in my case, they did a mastectomy. They did a partial mastectomy, where they didn't remove the whole breast, but only where the lump was. That's where they removed, So it's not always the case that they will completely remove your breast. So it's important, and like I said, it's your life. You need to decide. You need to decide.
But also, like Jenna Lee was saying, the fact that you got support from your husband, that type of support is quite important when you are going through something as traumatic as cancer, right?
No, support is everything. You can't get through this on your own. Definitely you cannot get through this on your own. Going for chemo, that takes a toll on your body. You need someone to, in my case, I had a small baby. My husband was very active and playing football at the time, so he was away most of the time. So there was always someone at home there with us, taking turns, or taking me for chemo, or coming to look after my son. So support is key, and support also from, I had joined a support group from other cancer survivors. So, it's easier to lean into those people and share your pain, your stories. So I encourage people to support the people going through this.
Now, Rebecca, your family foundation is also doing great work when it comes to awareness around breast cancer. And one of the things that we were actually surprised by the other day is that so much emphasis is placed on women when it comes to breast cancer awareness. And we don't teach men how to self-examine, for instance, as well. What are some of the myths and important information around breast cancer that you would like to share?
Yeah, absolutely. No, men, we always put them at the back burner, but I know it's a small percentage. I think it's between 1 and 3% of men that get breast cancer.
Yeah.
But it does happen.
Yes.
And men are scared to go to the doctors. So I really encourage them, same thing that we do as women, to check ourselves and look out for lumps and whatever. I would encourage men to do the same thing, to, you know, feel around their breasts. And it's not only the breast, like up until your breastbone, under the armpits. You must also, you know, it's all part of the breast tissue that you need to be looking out for symptoms from.
Last one from me, with your foundation, you know, unfortunately in South Africa, we still have a large part of our population that doesn't have proper access to health care, and cancer treatment is very expensive, especially if you have to go the private route. But most people in our country don't have medical aid. Do you work through your foundation around this, trying to convince the health department to put more emphasis, because it looks like the number is growing?
Yeah, it absolutely is growing, and that's the reason why we started the foundation, to reach the women in the rural areas, in the underserved communities, you know. What we're hoping is to get a mobile mammogram unit that will go out there and do these things for these women, because we're living in, you know, rurals where there's not even a hospital nearby. Where do you even go when you find a lump?
Yeah.
So if we are able to partner with the department and other NGOs and, you know, get into these places and help our women, because most of the time these are the people that come and present late. When they come, it's already stage 4, and there's little that can be done at that point.
Yeah.
So such crucial information this morning, and so much more that we could say around this topic. Obviously, here at ENCA, we spark the conversation. We bring you the information so that you can continue to do the hard work. Rebecca, thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom here with us on the South African Morning. That was the cancer survivor, Rebecca Baloyi.
What's scary for me as well is that, you know, more and more you're finding that each and every one of us knows somebody who's survived breast cancer. So that's why I'm saying the numbers are growing so much in our communities, and hopefully, you know, something more can be done, especially with treatment, because chemo is very expensive.
Absolutely.